The rescue teams had packed up. The helicopters had vanished from the sky. News channels declared there was almost no hope left. Deep inside a cold mountain cave, a billionaire woman lay injured, exhausted, and barely conscious while the world had already accepted her fate. But just as the first rays of dawn touched the cliffs, one struggling single father made a decision that would change both their lives forever. Marcus Bell had never imagined his life would lead him into the mountains before sunrise. At 38, he was a single father raising his 9-year-old daughter, Emma, after losing his wife to illness years earlier. Every day was a battle. He worked construction during the week and took odd jobs on weekends just to keep food on the table. Bills piled higher every month, and despite working harder than anyone he knew, life never got easier. Still, he refused to let his daughter see his pain. Every morning he smiled for her, even when his own heart felt empty. The disappearance of billionaire entrepreneur Alexandra Reed had become the biggest news story in the country. She'd gone hiking alone during a charity retreat when a violent storm struck the mountains. Hundreds of volunteers, rescue dogs, drones, and helicopters searched for 5 exhausting days. When landslides blocked major trails and temperatures kept falling, officials finally suspended the search. Believing survival was almost impossible, Marcus had watched the heartbreaking news while eating dinner with Emma. Something about Alexandra's story stayed with him. He couldn't explain why, but he kept thinking about someone lying alone somewhere, waiting for help that would never come. The next morning, before dawn, he left a note for Emma, promising to return by evening, and drove toward the mountains with only a backpack, flashlight, water bottles, and determination. Unlike professional rescuers, Marcus didn't follow complicated search maps. He trusted small details: broken branches, disturbed rocks, a torn piece of expensive fabric caught on a bush. His years working outdoors had taught him how nature left quiet clues if someone cared enough to notice them. Horrors passed without success. His legs trembled from exhaustion. More than once, he considered turning back. Then he noticed something unusual. Tiny footprints mixed with drag marks disappeared behind a cluster of rocks near an old cave hidden by fallen trees. His heartbeat quickened. Inside the dark shelter, he called out softly. At first, there was only silence. Then he heard the faintest movement. His flashlight revealed a heartbreaking sight. Alexandra Reed sat against the cave wall, covered in dirt and bruises. Her ankle was badly injured, and dehydration had left her barely conscious. She looked toward the light with frightened, exhausted eyes, unable to believe another human being had actually found her. Marcus immediately gave her water in small, careful sips, wrapped her in his spare jacket, and used his emergency radio to reach authorities from a nearby ridge, where he finally caught a weak signal. Within an hour, helicopters filled the sky again. The entire nation watched live as rescue crews carried Alexandra safely from the mountain. Headlines called it a miracle. Reporters praised Marcus as a hero, but he quietly returned home, believing he'd simply done what any decent person should have done. A week later, an elegant black car stopped outside his small house. Alexandra stepped out, still recovering, but smiling warmly. She'd spent days asking investigators about the man who'd refused any reward before disappearing back into ordinary life. As she entered his modest home, she noticed patched furniture, unpaid bills on the kitchen table, and Emma finishing homework beside an old lamp. She realized the man who'd saved one of the richest women in the country could barely afford his own future. Alexandra never forgot that moment. Instead of offering charity, she offered opportunity. She created a construction management company and asked Marcus to lead community rebuilding projects across struggling neighborhoods. She funded his professional training, guaranteed Emma's education through college, and launched a foundation supporting single parents who worked tirelessly but remained trapped by hardship. Months later, Marcus stood in front of hundreds of families, receiving affordable homes built through the very company he now managed. Every brick represented hope. Every smiling child reminded him that one act of compassion could echo through thousands of lives. Alexandra often said that wealth had surrounded her for years, but true humanity had found her inside a forgotten cave when everyone else had stopped believing. Marcus never called himself a hero. He simply believed that no life should be abandoned while hope still existed. Years later, Emma graduated from university and proudly hugged the father who had taught her that kindness is stronger than money, courage is louder than fear, and ordinary people often create the greatest miracles. Marcus's decision that lonely mourning didn't just save one billionaire. It restored hope to countless families who would never even know his name. Sometimes the greatest treasures aren't found in bank accounts or boardrooms. They're found in hearts that refuse to walk away when someone else needs them most.